All right, I was trying to be mysterious about what we're going to be talking about. Welcome back. I think you know the vibe for this conversation. Have you ever felt that awful burning sensation in your chest after a meal, or that uncomfortable bloating? Well, you are not alone. It's kind of part of the human condition. Heartburn and indigestion are more common than we think. And today we are getting to the heart of the matter, excuse the pun, with Dr. Chanel Martinez. She is here to share some effective ways to bring relief because, let's be honest, no one wants to sit through discomfort, right? Often we will. I'm amazed at how many people suffer from this without reaching for relief. That being said, for something that affects so many of us so often, and we know so little about it in terms of our own understanding and being empowered to do something about it, maybe let's start there. What is actually happening in our body when we experience that discomfort?
Okay, so we all call it heartburn, but it's not the heart
That's what it feels like, yeah.
At least it's not your heart burning. So a lot of patients come to us thinking they're having a heart attack because it feels like that sometimes, but it actually is like a burning feeling in the middle of your chest. And if you think about when you're eating, you put the food in your mouth, it goes down the esophagus, so the swallowing pipe that connects to the stomach, and then that's when the food goes in. We call it gastroesophageal reflux disease. So we call it gastroesophageal reflux disease, but people call it GERD or heartburn. They call it that. And then that is when the acid from the stomach is actually pushing up into the esophagus. And the esophagus doesn't want the acid there because it's supposed to stay in the stomach. So sometimes you are supposed to have a valve that keeps it down, or sometimes some patients have a hernia or that valve is a problem, and then the acid actually pushes up. And then there are obviously some food triggers that increase the acid.
And everyone has their things. You know, most of us, by the time you get to my age, you've got a little list of things that you'll
shouldn't be eating.
Gently stay away from at the breakfast buffet table. I absolutely get that. For the longest time, I think for the first time actually that I addressed anything like this, and it might have come from, I think, more a urinary issue where I first noticed Citro soda was recommended to me, but there was something about this that just works so well in this space. So how does it balance out this discomfort? How does it hit heartburn?
So like I said, the acid in the stomach, that's now, even with the urinary tract infections, there's acid there. So the Citro soda has the sodium bicarb and the sodium citrate that actually alkalizes everything. So it's like neutralizing. It works as an antacid, so a systemic antacid. So it calms down that acid in the stomach, and then it also calms down the acid in the urinary tract.
And it works quickly. And I think that is key.
A lot of people think it's only for the UTIs, but it can actually be used for the heartburn also.
And very effectively so. I'm going to introduce a bit of a curveball here. Stress. We know, like, you hear people talking about cortisol belly in terms of how stress can actually manifest physically. I would imagine when it comes to heartburn, it's got to play a part. Well, I've experienced that it does actually play a part. But what is that relationship?
So unfortunately, stress is part of our lives. Everybody.
The human condition again.
It is there. So for some people, stress can cause bloatedness and constipation. So it slows down the digestion. And in other people, it increases the digestion. So it makes you run to the toilet a bit more frequently. But then stress can actually also contribute to acid production in the stomach. So the more you're stressing, the cortisol's going up, and it actually produces more acid. So there's already acid in the stomach, so you don't need any more acid. So the stress is actually adding to the acid buildup, and then that pushes up that valve, and then that's when you can get the heartburn. And then so chronic sufferers then end up with a gastric ulcer, like peptic ulcer disease.
Which can be serious.
Which is serious, and we don't want to get there. So that's why we always say to treat the reflux before it gets to that problem. The other thing with stress is that it also adds poor health behaviors, like more alcohol, more smoking, binge eating.
We soothe ourselves.
So that's just shame. It just happens, and that increases the acid in the stomach.
Well, being aware of that in itself is a great kind of preventative tool, just so we know, so you can feel the physical. That might be an indication, hang on, I need to take a breath and take a step back. And I often marvel at how our diaphragm and this kind of center is our emotional center. We take a deep breath when we're stressed. Everything is focused on that area.
In your stomach when you know.
For sure. So I can understand that relationship. So beyond reaching for our Citro soda, which generally is pretty close at hand, what else can we do to mitigate this, and kind of what lifestyle adjustments can we make?
So like we've touched on the stress, so stress management, I know that is a big topic on its own, but so apart from the stress management, it would be to limit the alcohol intake and the smoking, so lifestyle changes, but then also avoid late night meals. Some people actually Also, they stress so much and then they'll just eat and they'll binge and all of those.
Comfort eater.
And then the patients with a lot of pain, so like arthritis or period pains, they would take a lot of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories on an empty stomach. So pain powders and those anti-inflammatories actually make the stomach a lot worse, and it causes that inflammation in the stomach and causes the burning.
I was going to say, like, inflammation is a word that's being bandied about a lot at the moment. We seem to be understanding that there is a lot more of that involved now. It's great that we're making the connection between the gut and the emotional state, the mental state.
Yep.
I love that. One piece of advice, maybe something that's helped you along the path, because this is a universal something that all of us are affected by, and it shouldn't be the case.
I mean, the first time I've experienced heartburn was when I was pregnant, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is heartburn. I didn't realize it actually feels like your chest is burning. So I would like to say to people, do not just suffer through it. You don't have to be suffering. You know, there are remedies, there are things you can use.
Don't be a martyr, yeah.
You don't have to be suffering. So use what you can, try to live a healthier lifestyle, and then avoid those anti-inflammatories on an empty stomach specifically.
Look after your gut. I absolutely love it. And just make sure that you have a bottle of Citro soda on hand, because it works so quickly, most importantly. Dr. Chanel, thank you so much. You're an absolute gem. This has been very insightful. A couple of penny drop moments, in fact. We all love good food, but no one loves the discomfort that sometimes follows. So whether it's after a big meal or just one of those days, Citro soda's got your back. And you can also, as an added bonus, stand the chance of winning 5,000 Rand in cash this week. Just to take care of a bit of that stress. To enter, you've got to tell us how you describe what heartburn feels like using emojis only. I wish I could enter this. Remember to include hashtag #CitroSoda in your entry. You can comment on Expresso's social media pages. That you'll find the post there. Competition closes Monday, the 31st of March at midnight. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of entries for this one, so you better make yours good. But you can find the T's and C's on expressoshow.com. I cannot wait to see your emoji stock. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If heartburn, indigestion, or UTIs are slowing you down, well, Citro Soda is here to bring you relief and a chance to win 5,000 Rand every week right here on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Oh, and entering is easy. Simply head over to Expresso's Facebook, X, or Instagram and answer the weekly question and include that hashtag Citro Soda in your answer.
Yeah, and don't let the burn hold you back. Enter now, and you could be our next big winner. T's and C's apply.